So we're going to get started. First of all, tonight's learning is dedicated for the shidduch of Salha bat Latifa, for the health, happiness, and zivug of her children, Ezra, Abraham, Moshe, and Shlomo ben Salha. Also, in honor of Gedaliah's dating website. Wow, dating website. Tinder, I believe it's called. Many successful shidduchim. No, that's not him. My bad. Shidduchim come from this new venture, and for the refuah shlema of Menachem Mendel ben Sarabadia and Devorah Vega bat Rezel. Also, if I could give some fat shout out to my main man Abby, feel good, and also to Big Papa Joseph Wolf and all those college students who are taking the time to put some Torah in their lives in whatever campus they happen to be in. Major props, mad propage to you. And tonight, with no further ado, confronting Jewish extremism. So, why are we talking about Jewish extremism? Well, it's not because some maniac ran people over like the other day in New York. That has nothing to do with it, because then we could have done it just like any other day. And also, I don't know if you guys are aware, but that wasn't a Jewish fellow. No. Yes, I think you're right.
Yes.
This is true, and that's not why. The reason that this kind of like occurred to me is because recently I've been watching some shows, because my shows are no longer on the air for this season. So whenever I have time, if there's no football on, I'm going to watch something else. And I ended up watching One of Us, which is the documentary about what happens in the Hasidic community when people don't conform to very specific ideas about how you're supposed to live and how you're not supposed to live. And that was one thing. And then I read these articles. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. I read this article about the Shabbat Project. So for those of us who may not be into this, or if you live under a rock and you may not be aware of what the Shabbat Project is, it started a few years ago in South Africa. The rabbi said, hey, I don't care what you guys do on a regular basis. Once a year, we're going to do Shabbat together as like a country. Legit, the whole country kept Shabbat, and it really spread like wildfire because everybody loves Shabbat. Shabbos is great, right? You get fat, you eat, you drink, you sleep, family, great, food, cool. So he did this, and it took off, and now internationally it's a thing. And in Israel, to make a very long story very short, they had this wonderful Shabbat program in Jerusalem, and there's this religious guy who wrote an article about his experience in Seudah Shlishit in the third meal, because he went to the Shuk, to Machane Yehuda, which is like the main kind of marketplace over there in Jerusalem, and there was this party, this Shabbat Project party going on in the Shuk. And when he went to go to the party, and again, this is like an Orthodox guy who lives in Jerusalem, and he's like down with the Hebes, and when he walked up, there were police cars there, which was a little odd. They're not usually there on a Saturday. And he saw there was actually a disturbance because there were many ultra-Orthodox people there that were disrupting the event. And they were disrupting the event in obnoxious fashion and screaming disgusting things at the participants. And well, I don't know who it was, but whomever it was, it's disgusting. And the person is basically, and he's saying like all these people that are perhaps experiencing their first Shabbat ever, and this is their experience. They're sitting down, and a whole bunch of people that are dressed like very clearly very religious people are coming in and basically giving them garbage for doing their Shabbat, which was horrible and awful. And then it just like it's revolting. Okay, it's really revolting, and it stirred up all sorts of feelings that I haven't had in a very long time. Oh, also, as Ethan said, if we can also have a shout out to Aryeh Leib Ben Batsheva. He's having emergency surgery now, and this should be a zechus for him as well. So these people are celebrating their first ever Shabbat, and you come and you attack them. So this really turned over many different ideas in my head that have gone on for years. There's the 7-year-old girl who's walking to school in Beit Shemesh, and people come and like spit at her because she's wearing short sleeves. You know, and it makes you want to rip your hair out in anger and frustration and all these things. And I started to think to myself, okay, well then let's think about this. Let's take a deep breath, and let's discuss. So, and by the way, obviously you know that the worst of all religious extremists, and this includes terrorists, is when you're sleeping on the flight on El Al. You're sleeping on the flight on it all, and you got your yarmulke over your face because you're sleeping, and some guy, minche, that's a terrorist. Okay? That is religious extremism. That's religious extremism, and I will not tolerate that. That is intolerable. So we're going to discuss these ideas. Now, in order to do this properly, we have to have an operative definition for the term. Right? If you don't have definition for terminology, then we might be talking about different things. So we should begin there. What is an extremist? Well, I looked up extremism in my trusty Webster's dictionary, and I wrote it down. Don't go into me. Yeah, Derek, I've been there. I have some great fight stories. The next time I see you, you'll remind me, or llama telefono, and I'll tell you exactly what happened. Great stories. So, these are the Webster's dictionary definition of the term extremism. Number 1, the quality or state of being extreme. Number 2, advocacy of extreme measures or views. Once again, the definition of extremism is the quality or state of being extreme, and advocacy of extreme measures or views, which is obviously not very helpful, because that's a self-referential definition. So, no thank you. It hasn't helped me much, but that's okay, because on my Google, I did not merely have Webster's, I also had Wikipedia, so I did Wikipedia. And Wikipedia says as follows. Well, nowadays, the term is mostly used in a political or religious sense to refer to an ideology that is considered to be far outside the acceptable mainstream attitudes of society, which is better, right? That's an operative definition. That's an operative definition, so we're going to do that again. We're going to do it again very quickly. Nowadays, the term is mostly used in a political or religious sense to refer to an ideology that is considered to be far outside the acceptable mainstream attitude of society. Great. I can start there. I can use that. So, essentially, what you have is a spectrum. You have this massive continuum beginning with X and moving to Y of what is considered by the mainstream sociable and acceptable and normative behavior. And anything that deviates to the left or to the right is what we would consider to be extremism. Great, I'm good. So, if you want to give like an example, driving is fine. Driving a truck is fine. Driving a truck over people, not fine. Okay? That's too much driving of the wrong sort. Eating, fine. Eating big meal, fine. Eating till you vomit on yourself, not fine. You get where I'm going, right? Okay, that's what extremism would be according to this definition, and okay, that's fair. I think that's a fair definition. The problem is it's horrific reasoning. I mean, that's terrible reasoning. So you're telling me that extremism is bad. Extremism is terrible. It's like the worst thing in the world. These extremists, I read about them all the time. I hear them on Fox News and on CNN and on New York Times. Terrible extremists. Why are they extremists? Because the normal people have decided that normative behavior has to fit in between X and Y on this continuum, and they are to the right of Y and to the left of X, and therefore they're extreme.
If society agrees with them, then
So you're telling me that as long as, right, so if everyone says it's fine, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It can't be outrageous or horrific or heinous. If all the Germans think you're allowed to murder the Jews, then it's okay, number one. Number two, who exactly, pray tell, is deciding what is normative, sociable, acceptable behavior?
99% of the people.
Which people?
99, majority.
Oh, majority. Of which people? The Iranian people? Or the Uzbeki people? Or the Chicago people? I don't know. If you ask the Chicago people, they might say it's perfectly acceptable and normal to have X number of murders in a month. Perhaps the people from Wisconsin disagree. I don't know. I'm just saying, right? So you're telling me, right? Oh, listen. So you're telling me, again, that what is extreme is anything that's off the continuum, but who decides the continuum of acceptable behavior? Very. It's that subjective as it gets, right? That's crazy. So, and we've discussed before, primarily 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I think that was the main thrust of that class was about this point. Morality is either objective or subjective. So if your morality is subjective, yours is no different than yours. And I don't want to go back into this because those of you who didn't see it can go back and watch it. It's on the Facebook archives and the YouTubes and the SoundClouds. And those of you who did watch it know exactly what I'm talking about. So, back in the day, acceptable, normative, sociable behavior would have included killing witches in Salem, Massachusetts. Right? That was fine. If there happened to be a lady who was followed around by a black cat, let's drown her. very quickly, and that's a good thing, and that's fine. In certain places in the world, stabbing 80-year-olds in the neck is very acceptable. Blowing up buses, that's fine, that's wonderful. And that would not be considered extreme. Ditto to murdering Jews or homosexuals or enslaving black people. I mean, all this is like so perfectly sociable. This is great. There's nothing extreme about that. Now, if you would enslave a white guy, that would be extreme. That would be extreme. If you would kill a heterosexual, we would have a problem with that. But you see where I'm going, right? So to say that just because people arbitrarily decided in their own subjective minds for whatever socioeconomic reasons that this is the continuum of acceptable social behavior and anything outside of it is not, right, which is float. This is very true, which is too float. It doesn't work. You know what was very extreme in the old days? Hygiene. Hygiene, that was extreme behavior, right? King Louis, I think, bragged. He bragged that he only bathed twice in his life.
Ew.
I know, right? just nasty on all sorts of things.
For this.
Yeah. Well, you certainly would be in yes, according to that definition of it. And that's one reason why this idea about extremism, it just really doesn't float. There's another idea, which I think is another problem with it, which I think is an even more deep-rooted problem. So if you Google moderate versus extreme, you're going to find that the Google entries are dominated, the results are dominated by articles focusing on Islam. For anecdotal reasons, right? Not for philosophical reasons, but just because like nowadays that's probably the subject, the topic, which is most searched for. So I think, okay, well I'm just going to look and get ideas and understandings from this particular topic, and however it plays out there, you should expect that it will play out in other ways as well. And I came to the following article. This is from the Gates Institute, and I think it's really, really good. And it's basically showing that according to Dr. Ahmed Ibrahim Kader, who was a guy who was actually killed a while back by the Pakistani security forces, but he was a very big Al-Qaeda operative and fundraiser, friend with bin Laden, big intellectual, and he wrote the following thing. He writes a differentiation, a comparison and contrasting of radicals to moderates. Radicals to moderates. He's comparing and contrasting radicals with moderates, and here's what he says. Here's the examples. Radicals want the caliphate to return, moderates reject the caliphate. Radicals want to apply Sharia law, moderates reject the application of Sharia. Radicals accept the duty of waging jihad in the path of Allah, moderates reject it. Radicals reject any criticism whatsoever of Islam, moderates welcome it on the basis of freedom of speech. Radicals accept those laws that punish whoever insults or leaves the religion. Moderates recoil from these laws. Radicals respond to any insult against Islam or the Prophet Muhammad with great violence and anger. Moderates respond calmly and peacefully on the basis of freedom of expression. Radicals oppose democracy. Moderates accept it. Radicals see the people of the book, Jews and Christians, as dhimmi. Dhimmi are lower second-class citizens. Moderates oppose this view. Radicals reject the idea that non-Muslim minorities should have equal or authority over Muslims. Moderates reject it. Radicals reject the idea that men and women are equal. Moderates accept it according to Western views. Radicals oppose the idea of religious freedom. Moderates agree to it. Radicals desire to see Islam reign supreme. Moderates oppose this. This goes on and on. You can look up this article on gatesinstitute.org. You can Google Gates Institute and moderate Islam and it'll come up. See it for yourself. There's no reason that you should take my word for it. It's an interesting read. So if this is the difference over here between radical or extreme, I'm using radical and extreme obviously synonymously, and moderate on the other hand. Let's now think for a second about how if you're extreme, that's bad, right? If you're extreme, that's bad. So if you would listen to Bush, Clinton, Obama, I heard all of them say this. This is like unbelievable, and I've been watching them say this for well over a decade. I'd say, well, our problem is with the radicals, right? The moderates we're good with. We're fine with them. The radicals need to be more moderate. They need to be more moderate. Have you ever heard anything more ridiculous in your life? I mean, this is absolutely stupid. This is absolutely stupid. He's not an extremist. He's not a radical. He's religious! Sorry, that was loud. He's religious. He's religious. He's not an extremist. He's religious. He's doing what he believes. He's doing what he believes God told him to do. So when George Bush or Barack Obama or whomever it is, whatever stupid politician of whatever Western idiot country gets up at the podium and says, all you need to do is be a little more moderate. You fool. You're talking to someone who says, God told me I need to do this. Oh, but now that the president of some Western power says that all I need to do is change the religion to conform with his ideas of what a moderate are, I'm going to get right on that. Really? Who are you talking to? To whom are you speaking? Are you speaking to the person who already agrees with you? Or are you speaking to the person who believes that God said you're supposed to blow up an airplane? If you're speaking to a person who believes that God said you're supposed to blow up an airplane, then the fact that you don't like that and that you would like him to be more moderate, you can substitute the word moderate for in line with our views, which, by the way, are considered to be evil and twisted to the guy who's blowing up the airplane, which is why he's blowing up the airplane. Do you see the fallacy in this? Do you see how pathetic and idiotic it is to tell people, really, you guys have to you have to modernize and you have to reform and you just have to move a little bit. Just it's okay. Just change the Bible. Just change your Bible. All you need to do, I'm going to accept you. I love you like a brother. Just change your Bible a little bit. Really? Just change your Bible a little bit? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? It's crazy. It's crazy. By the way, this is exactly what Ahmed Kader is saying. You know why? Because I lied a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a drop. Just a drop. I lied. I'll tell you how I lied. In his article, he didn't use the words radical Muslim and moderate Muslim. You know what words he used? True Muslims and false Muslims. His words. Now, hold on. This is not for 1 second. If you come out of it, well, Sprung said Muslims believe what Ahmed Kader. No, wrong. If you heard that, you're not listening. I don't speak for Islam. I don't even speak for Judaism. I speak for me. Sometimes. Not when my wife's around, I don't speak for anybody. Very true. I don't speak for Islam. I'm not saying this is a more valid viewpoint than that. Kader is. Right? Kader says, this is what we believe, this is what they believe. We are right, they are wrong. I'm not saying he's right and they're wrong. That doesn't beliefs. Why would you temper your beliefs to make some other guy happy? That's insane. I really believe in this. I'm willing to kill for it. I'm willing to die for it. I'm going to raise my kids over this. We've been doing this for thousands of years. Oh, but it offends the white man in the blue suit in Washington, so I should stop this. Come on, right? So the whole idea is crazy. And by the way, this is not a Muslim thing. This is every bit a Jewish thing and every bit an American thing. We Jews have been circumcising our boys for thousands of years. The Greeks didn't like that. The Greeks apparently had a problem with infant genital mutilation. They had a problem. They outlawed it in the name of human rights. Can't chop off baby foreskin anymore. And you know what the Jews said? I'll fight you. That's what they said to the Greek army, which is kind of funny, right? But the Jews I'll fight you. You take away circumcision from me, I'll kill you. This is the truth, right? We're coming up on Hanukkah. In a month. Month and a half. We're coming up on it. What did they fight over? Infant genital mutilation. Also Shabbos, okay? But it has nothing to do with dreidels. We don't care if you find our laws barbaric. I don't care. Because I don't circumcise my son because I find it aesthetically pleasing to live without a foreskin. The thought never occurred to me, to be perfectly honest with you. You know why I circumcise my sons? Because I believe that I have a covenant with God, and it says in my book, right, etc., etc. I don't do it for cultural reasons. Really? You're going to do a surgery on your son's genitals for cultural reasons? Wow. That's a strong culture, I say. That's a heck of a culture. If you want to eat gefilte fish in your house because of your culture. Gay gesund stark. Gay gesund stark. That's fine. That's fine. Fine. You're going to do this? You're going to do a surgery on your kid's genitals because of your culture? Sounds a bit extreme, to me. Sounds a bit extreme to me. Now, if God commanded you to do this, if you believe that God commanded you to do this, then hey, I get why you're doing it. I get it. I get why you're doing that. So, wait 1 second. Derek is asking something. Well, yes, Derek. That's the point. That's exactly the point. Wonderful. I've caught up. I've caught up to where my friends have been for 10 minutes. I'm slow, but I get there in the end. Okay. So obviously, any religious person, and it's not only religious people. When you look at our country, when you look at America, there are other countries in the world that say, "How crazy are you that you let your wives and your children have that kind of freedom and liberty? How dare you? That's crazy. Don't you understand you're extreme?" Well, who's extreme? The lady in the burqa or the lady in the bikini? Depends who you ask. It depends who you ask. Right? From this standpoint, this is extreme. From this standpoint, that's extreme. So thinking that other people are going to stop what they believe because somebody else thinks that it's a problem. Crazy. So, to recap very quickly, the two issues with defining extreme behavior as bad because it's outside of what people define as the normative parameters of things are, number one, who's defining the norm, right? That's crazy. Who defines the norm? And number two, because it doesn't matter even if 99.9999% of the world always, consistently, universally said that something's bad, that doesn't make it bad. The whole world worshiped, they were bowing down to rocks. For how long? Forever. They were bowing down to rocks. And one guy's like, this is a bad idea. I'm pretty sure that's just a rock. We're not going to go into like Abraham right now. But you understand that the fact that everybody says, you don't care. If you think God says something, it doesn't matter what other people say. So it's just laughable. So therefore, the word extreme and extremist and extremism and, and radical, using that as a barometer for evil is stupid. It's really stupid. It's a poor word. It's a poor word to use. The truth is that the implications of the word are more stupid than the word itself, but it's bad barometer. Right? Bad barometer. Okay. Now, the real issue, very simply, is right and wrong. That's it. That's the issue. I don't care about extreme. Right, wrong. That's it. That's what there is. Good, evil, right, wrong. Call it whatever you want. Right, wrong. Now, we're going to get into trouble here. Because what defines what is right and what is wrong? Right? If you're Muslim, it's the Quran. If you're Jew, it's the Torah. If you're a Christian, it's the New Testament. If you're an American, it's the Constitution. If you're a Yankee fan, it's whatever Steinbrenners think. Like, everybody has a different methodology of establishing what is right and what is wrong. Fine. Okay. So, Bibi is also an extremist that needs to be more moderate according to this logic. Maybe, I don't know that I want to get political there, Nomi. Like, maybe. So, Western society, if we have to identify a barometer for right and wrong, Western society's barometer is public opinion. That's why it shifts so volatilely all the time. It shifts back and forth because public opinion goes this way, public opinion goes that way. Okay, but religious people, they don't shift ever. So Western society shifts all the time, and religious people shift almost never. Why do religious people shift almost never? Because they have a book. So that book is going to determine what is right and what is wrong. Marvelous. What is right and what is wrong, what are you going to use? Torah. You use the Torah. Okay. So basically, the battle for Islam and the battle for Judaism is not waged on the outside. It's waged on the inside. You don't defeat an ideology from outside of the ideology, unless you slaughter them all. You can do that, right? You can wipe out a tribe and then their ideology is over because you've killed them all. You can do that. But short of that, the only way to destroy an ideology is the people on the inside of that tribe saying, this is not who we are. That's how you do it. So, basically, if Muslims, Christians, Mormons, atheists, Buddhists, doesn't matter, if Jews want to stop what they consider to be an extreme behavior, a heinous behavior, a despicable behavior, you're not going to ask the cops to do it, and you're not going to ask the press to do it, and you're not going to ask the Americans or the British or the Australians or anyone else to do it. You do it. You do it. Now, once again, we'll recap this. If someone is doing something for a religious reason, for a religious obligation, there's two ways to alter that. Only two, meaning short of destroying him, right? You can kill him and stop him that way. One is to show him that his religion is wrong. Good luck. Good luck. Go tell someone that his religion is wrong. He's not listening to you. His religion is a given. His religion is a default position. If I'm a Christian, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I don't care if you don't believe in him. There's nothing you can say that's going to make me not believe in him because I've already accepted him. If I'm a Jew and I believe it, I'm a believing Jew. I don't care what you think about Hashem or the Torah or Israel. That's a given. So it's very hard to convince someone outside that his religion is wrong. What you can do is demonstrate to him that that is not his religion. That you can do. That you can do. If you can succeed in showing him, they say, oh, you're a good Jew, you really want what Hashem wants from you, you really want to do what God wants from you, you're a devout Muslim, you really want to do what Allah wants from you, you're a devout Christian, you really want to do what Jesus wants from you, well, let me show you what Allah, Hashem, Jesus, Zoroaster, Ahura Mazda, let me show you what they want from you. Oh, okay, well, now somebody's home. Now somebody's home. Now you got the attention. Okay, well, no. I would never want to do something that God wouldn't like. I would never. God, heaven forbid, far from me. Chas v'chalila. So if you can show somebody that that's not what the religion is about, then you got a shot. Well, let's think for a moment. What does the Torah say about this? What does the Torah say? So, the Talmud in Tractate Arachim quotes a pasuk from Vayikra, from Leviticus, and the pasuk says as follows: Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Hocheach tochiach et amitecha v'lo tisa alav chet. Rebuke your brother. Hocheach tochiach. Rebuke your brother, and do not put upon him a sin, or hoist upon you a sin, depending upon which interpretation you take with that. So again, don't hate your brother in your heart, rebuke your brother, and don't make a sin. Now, if you look in the Talmud says as follows. It says, well, why do you have to say, don't hate your brother in your heart? Why don't you just say, don't hate your brother? Right? Don't hate your brother. What's don't hate your brother in your heart? Well, so I'll tell you, if I would have said, don't hate your brother, I would have thought it means you can't go punch somebody in the face, can't go insult someone, call nasty names, can't go be mean to somebody. There's no. That's not what the pasuk is saying. Not what it says. What it says? Bilvavecha. Don't hate him in your heart. Meaning, I really can't stand him. But he doesn't know that. I would never say that to him, right? He thinks we're friends. We're the best friends in the world. I love you. You're the man. Oh yeah, we're bros. Let's go out. Let's hang. Come for Shabbos. I can't stand them, right? Secretly, I hate him. I hate him in my heart. So the Torah says, don't hate your brother in your heart. If you hate him, say it. Say it. Go over to him, to his face, and look him dead in the eye and say, I hate you. Why? Well, because presumably, if you hate somebody, it's because of what they did, right? You don't hate someone because of his skin color, sexual orientation, whether he's tall or short. That's not a fashion sense. That's not a reason to hate somebody. Obviously, you hate somebody because of what he did. So walk over to him and say, I hate you. Well, what are the next words in the sentence? Lo tisna et achicha b'vavecha. Do not, in the same sentence, one sentence. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Rebuke him. Hocheach tochiach. Rebuke him. Say to him, you did something wrong. You did something wrong. I have a problem with what you did. I have a problem. This is what you did, or this is what you didn't do. And this is why I have an issue with it. Because it was wrong. What you did was wrong. Well, how's he going to react to that? Fascinatingly, this is what the Talmud says. The Talmud says, you know, most people, you go over to them and you say, excuse me, sir, you have there's a little bit of a toothpick in between your teeth. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? There's a pole between your eyes. Usually if you say to someone they did something wrong, tiny little thing, a little toothpick in your teeth. Instead of saying, you're right, I'm so sorry, I should really do better. They say, yeah, I have a toothpick in my mouth. You got a beam in your face. You're worse than I do. You're worse than I am. Most people don't accept rebuke very well. It's a problem. And that's why we have another verse. Al tochach letz. Which means, don't rebuke a clown. Pen yisna'eka. He's just going to hate you. Hocheach lechacham. But if you rebuke a wise person, v'yeh haveka. He will love you. Why? Well, simple. Because a clown is not interested in doing the right thing. The clown exactly, I'm scratching, I want it to feel good, I want to do whatever that guy wants. But a wise person, right? So if you tell him that he's doing something wrong, he has absolutely no interest in hearing that he did something wrong. Don't tell me I did something wrong, I'm perfect. But if you give tochacha, if you give rebuke to a wise person, he will love you. Why? Because you just helped him. He's your coach. If you give Odell Beckham, I don't want to use Odell Beckham. If you give, I'm sorry, I don't like him. Just pick someone else. Well, what? No, he's not my brother. We use, let's use Megatron, okay? You go to Calvin Johnson. You give Calvin Johnson, it's not a good example. He doesn't play anymore, but the Eagles bought his rights, so maybe he'll come back. So let's pretend for a moment that he's back in the league, and you go over to him and you say to him, listen, I think you're doing something wrong, or Julio. That's the example. You go over to Julio, and you say, Julio, I love you. You're the man. You're unbelievable. The moves and the speed and the strength and the ball control and the body control is incredible. I think if you would tweak a little bit, just a little bit in this way and that way, you'd be better. And you were right. If you said that to him and you were right, how does he feel about you? Does he hate you? Does he love you?
It depends if he respects you.
I'm saying if he takes it and it works, it's the truth.
Like
Loves you, right? Loves you. He's like, oh my God, you took my game to the next level. You elevated my game. Why would I hate you for pointing out to me that I could be better? Why would I hate you for that? The only reason I would hate you for that is if I have no intention of being better, I have no interest in being better, I just want to be right all the time. It's about me. Well, if it's about me and I need to be right, then when you tell me that I'm wrong, oh, do I hate you? Oh, do I hate you? It's fine. I see this with teachers. Because, like, I'm in a world of teachers, right? So there's some teachers that if a student corrects them, they
go mad.
they get so upset. Why?
Well, wouldn't you, little schmeckies?
Nah, not really. But I'm not saying that I'm the be all and the end all. I'm just saying, like, no, there are other things that would probably bother me, but no, that doesn't bother me. But why are you upset? Because it's not about the truth. It's about I'm right, and you work for me, and I'm bigger than you, and how dare you tell me that I'm wrong? That's the issue. Well.
You think it's an ego problem?
100%. 100% that it's an ego problem. It's not only an ego problem, but it's also an ego problem. Now, there's something that's even better if you think about the words, because the Hebrew is glorious. Glorious. Hocheach tochiach. We translate as rebuke. Rebuke, you tell someone he did something wrong. Right? That's what rebuke is. I didn't look it up on Webster's by mistake. Rebuke, you did something wrong, this is what you did. That's not what tochacha means. That's not an accurate translation. It's the second time I mistranslated something for you. That's not what hocheach means. Exactly.
What do you say?
Proof.
Okay.
The word in Hebrew for rebuke is prove. Why? Why?
Because when you prove, you need to have an argument, not just say, oh, you're wrong. You need to actually have an argument about this, right? Why is it?
Beautiful. It's not about me telling you you're wrong. It's about me proving to you what is, so that you can do it too. It's just showing. It's just showing. That's all it is. It's like, hey man, like, I get it. You really want to do what's right, because obviously the reason why you're religious, the only reason why you could conceivably be religious, is because you think that this is the best way to live, the most proper way to live, the most incredible way to be. Well, if that's what you're interested in, then I can help you even more and elevate your game by showing you that you need a little bit better ball control when you get to the sideline. And then that person, if that's what he or she is about, is going to be overjoyed. Thank you so much. You helped me. You saved me. You elevated my game. Maybe next year we'll win the Super Bowl as opposed to blowing a massive lead, right? You want to no fault of his own anyway. He did everything and more, right? So it's not about rebuke. It's about proving, demonstrating, showing, teaching, learning, understanding, attaining, getting there together. That's what it's about. So that means, let's recap very quickly. It can only ever change from the inside. From the inside. Anyone coming out saying your Bible's wrong, your people are evil, your prophet was garbage, no one cares what you say. You're just being insulting and you're going to infuriate me. That's it. That's all you're going to do. But if someone from the inside says, oh, you're down with the prophet? Oh. Well, let me tell you something. I think that actually the prophet would have liked that and not that. It's really well. I want what the prophet wants. I want what God wants. And then you can move. And then you can move. Now, this means that when you see, if you read, if you hear of Jews, whether they're Niturei Karta, whether they're the guys that are doing a minyan in the middle of the aisle blocking the bathrooms on the 747 to Tel Aviv, whether it's the people that are spitting on the girl or messing up the Shabbat party, the way to do it is what the Torah says. Take the guy aside, not screaming on the bullhorn, take him aside, say, hey brother, I totally get this. Obviously you're doing this because you think this is what Hashem wants. That's very cool. Let's have a discussion and see if in fact it is what Hashem wants. Let's talk about this. Which means you better come with backup, right? You got to come loaded. You got to come stocked. You got to come with the psukim. You got to come with the ideas. You got to come with the Dvar Torah. And then if that person is genuine, they're going to love you because you helped them. They're going to love you. They're going to say, thank you so much. You changed my life. You helped me. You brought me up. You elevated my game. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't end there. Because oftentimes, the people that are doing most of this, those things, the people that are rousing the rabble oftentimes are not the decision makers. They're the followers, which means there's a head of the snake. Yeah? There's the head of the snake. You can't have a conversation with a tail. You can only have a conversation with a head. So if there are people that were told to go and disrupt traffic or to destroy the Jerusalem Marathon or to mess up the Tel Aviv Pride Parade or whatever it happens to be, right? If there's a person telling them to do these things and you want to have a conversation with the guy who's throwing eggs in the parade, you're wasting your time because you're talking to a tail. You need to talk to the head. And when you talk to the head, you can have a conversation, like we said, what does Hashem want? What does Hashem? So fix yourself before you fix the world, maybe. 100%. Randy, 100%, you're absolutely right. And in fact, the Gemara says that, right? The Gemara says, Kashot atzmecha v'achar kach kashot acherim. It's a Gemara in Sanhedrin. So you're absolutely right. I have to fix myself before I fix the world. Everyone absolutely has to. That having been said, we still have an obligation to help our fellow man if they're making a mistake that we happen to not make. Granted, there are a million mistakes that we're making, and we're not perfect. But we have to say, look, dude, I have a million of my own issues, but you shouldn't steal the chocolate bar from Publix. So they're not mutually exclusive ideas. We have to fix the man in the mirror, and also we have a biblical obligation to help people if we see them doing something wrong. So to get back to the head analogy, if the head isn't listening to you, not because he disagrees. If the head disagrees, if the person with whom you're talking says, I understand your proofs, and I don't accept them as proofs, because I have all of this literature. I have all of these counter-arguments and counterpoints, and your points are not persuasive. Then you did not succeed in proving anything, did you? You did not. You didn't prove it. If you didn't succeed in proving it, then that guy has not been proven. But if you do succeed in proving it, and he does this, he pulls one of those, he's not listening. Now you have a problem. Because now, essentially what you have just discovered is a fifth column. You have people within your tribe who are not interested in doing what the tribe believes, or what is good for the tribe, or what is good for the world, but rather what they have already decided has to be done. for their own reasons. Well, like we said, can't get them from outside, right? Got to get them from inside. It's been done before in Judaism. It's been done before. You know what we do? You point them out. You point and you say, he's not me. That guy, he's not me. Feh. Disgusting. What that guy does is disgusting. You know who has to scream the loudest? You know who has to scream the loudest? We do. We do. When I say we, I mean the guy with the yarmulke. The guy with the yarmulke. When a person with a yarmulke disrupts the parade, or the Shabbos project, or the little girl, whatever it is, or the Israeli soldiers, whatever it is, if haaretz, if that rag, if they're the ones who scream the most, that's a problem. You know who's got to scream? I got to scream. You got to scream. We got to say, them, no. That, disgusting. We don't stand for that. That's despicable. Those people aren't us. And in fact, we have unbelievable precedent for this. There have been times in Jewish history where there were subgroups who were kicked out of Judaism. They forced separation. That's right. The early Christians were Jews. The early Christians were Jews. Again, this has nothing to do with theology. The early Christians were Jews. And in fact, they were indistinguishable. You literally could not tell the difference between a Jew and a Christian because a Christian was a Jew. Nowadays, they're different religions, okay? So you talk about 2,000 years later. When they started, they weren't. It wasn't a different religion. So what did they do? They didn't know how to identify people who had different ideas. So different that they said they're a different tribe. They added a paragraph to the prayers. Our main prayer, the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei, the 18, was called the 18 because it had 18 blessings. Guess what? Take a seat door, open it up, count. It doesn't have 18, it has 19. It has 19. They added one. You know why they added it? They added it because there were Jews. There were Jews, indistinguishable from all the other Jews, who felt very differently about what Judaism was supposed to be and where Israel was supposed to go. And they had no way of determining who was what. So they said, I know what we can do. We can institute a blessing and put it in the middle of the prayers, and it will go against those ideas. So whomever holds those ideas would never be caught dead saying that. So you know if anyone refuses to say the paragraph, they are that. You understand? You got to out them.
What paragraph was it?
Vilam al Shinim. And the idea very simply is, if there are people within your tribe who are doing things in the name of your tribe for reasons that you believe are wrong religiously, step one, talk to them. Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Maybe they'll prove you wrong. Go see. Go have the talk. If you don't succeed in proving it, then you don't even know that you're right. Go back to the drawing board and see what the actual truth happens to be. If you do succeed in proving it, and they're not listening because they're not interested in upping their game, call them out. Point the finger. Scream the loudest. Don't let the people that hate you be the ones to rake you over the coals and say, see, you're all disgusting. No, we're not. We're not. We're beautiful and we're impeccable. And wherever we're not beautiful and wherever we're not impeccable, we have to work on it. Please tell us in a nice way so we can work on it. Please help us in a nice way so we can fix it. Please help us elevate our game. And for those people who aren't interested in elevating their game, and they want to do terrible things in the name of our tribe, that's what the finger's for. This one. To point. To point and to say, not you. Not them. No. We're different. I don't think this is going to obviously solve all the world's ills. I don't. But I think that over time, it does a heck of a job because all of these movements, okay, we're not dealing with lone wolves, so to speak. We're dealing with ideologies. We're dealing with ideologies that are pervasive and that have encompassed and subsumed millions and 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 countless millions of people. That's what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with individuals. You're dealing with philosophies. You got to change them. And the only way to change them is from the people who hold the same things that they ostensibly hold, to stand up and to scream and to shout and to say that that is false. You can't exist in a vacuum. You have to be taught this in the schools. You have to be taught this in the churches and the synagogues and the mosques. You have to be taught this in the community centers and the JCCs and the YMCAs. That's where this is fostered. That's where this happens. You got to scream the loudest, you got to wave the flag the hardest, and you got to point the finger. And I think that if we do that, we can make a real dent, a lot better than any bombs can. Anyway.
No more bombs.
Peace and love. No more bombs.